Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to 5-day webinar series on trends and opportunities in consultancy and management. I am Dr. Nagaraj from Bangalore Institute of Technology, and today we have our speaker Dr. Shobha, Professor, Consultant and Researcher, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, RV College of Engineering. And before I welcome the participant and the speaker, I would like to give you a few guidelines. One is the talk we are having on 26th between 11 to 1. It needs a separate registration due to the security reasons. They are going to send you the link directly for participating in that talk. So I will share with you the registration link. So you please use that registration link in registering to that talk. It will be on 26th between 11 to 1 p.m. So two experts from Bangalore Chambers of Industry and Commerce. They will be talking about industry consultancy. So they want to use their own platform for the conference. So that is why they want a list of participants. They have sent me a link that I will share with you after this session. You use that link and do the registration. After the registration, you will get a link for joining the conference. Now we'll start today's session 2. First, let me welcome our beloved principal, Dr. M.U. Ashwath, who is very much interested in the development of academic activities in DIT, and he has stood as a supporting pillar for us in organizing such activities where the quality of the faculty and teachers are improved. So this program is organized for helping the faculty to develop the skills so that they will become consultant in future. So this is being done under the guidance of our principal, Dr. M.U. Ashwath, as well as HODs of all departments. And I welcome our principal and HODs of all departments for this function. A brief introduction to today's speaker is there. I am giving now a brief introduction of today's speaker. The madam is Dr. G. Shobha, Professor, Consultant, Researcher, Computer Science and Engineering, RV College of Engineering. Madam has 25 years of experience in teaching and 15 years of experience in research. Madam's specialization are in the area of machine learning, big data analytics and image processing. Madam has published more than 200 papers in reputed journals and conferences. Madam has worked on various research consultancy projects funded by government organizations such as Naval Research Board, DRDO, Center for Airborne Systems, Panchayat Raj, Karnataka, and various MNC companies to the tune of nearly 200 lakhs of rupees. She is a recipient of various awards such as Career Awardee from ACT 2008 and 9, Best Researcher Award from Cognizant in 2015, GSC Faculty Scholar in 2018, HPCC Systems Community Registration Award from LexisNexis Atlanta, USA in 2020. Madam is known as the researcher and fundraising person among engineering colleges. And thank you very much, Madam, for having accepted for giving a talk on consultancy to train the faculty. On behalf of our management, principal and HOD and faculty of DIT, we welcome you for this technical talk on faculty consultancy, Madam. So again, I welcome you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. I take this opportunity to thank Professor Nagraj and the principal of BIT for giving me an opportunity again to share my experience towards consultancy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I will welcome today's participants of this program who have registered from different engineering colleges, IT industries and different states also, like Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Telangana and other states. So I will welcome all the participants once again, and any questions you want to raise can be given in the chat box that will be raised to the madam at the end of the session. And at the end of the session, you can also ask questions by unmuting your mic. Or those who don't want to ask can send their query in the chat box at the end. I will now request our principal to say a few words.
Thank you, Professor Nagraj. I don't have much to say because I've already spoken about the importance of consultancy and other issues connected with academia. And especially I'm impressed about Dr. G. Shobha's profile. The statement professor, consultant and researcher is very impressive and motivating for other faculty members to also add consultant tag and researcher tag into their name, and that will be the blend and balance of profession required for today's and tomorrow's education system. And I'm eager to listen to Dr. G. Shobha about her experiences in consultancy and research. Thank you very much, and welcome, ma'am, for sharing your experiences with the audience.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Madam is well known as a consultant and researcher, sir, among our engineering faculty. Madam, it is over to you now to take over the session.
Thank you, sir.
Your experience, madam. It's over to madam.
Okay, thank you. I'll be sharing the screen now.
Yes.
Madam, switch on your video for some time so that our participants can have a look.
So good afternoon. So I'll be talking on the need and skills required for faculty consulting towards the overall development of an institution. Before I start this session, I would like to quote the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. The quote presents like this: I believe there is no other profession in the world that is more important to society than that of a teacher. And the purpose of teaching is to create a nation building capacities in students. As we look into it, we see that we, the faculty, are working for the noble cause and we are nurturing the students. Finally, we want our students to be placed in good companies or to pursue the higher studies. Both of these things require the industry ready and also visibility to the outside world, because most of them do their higher studies in abroad. In order to have these two qualities, to inculcate these qualities into the students, it is necessary for a faculty to adopt himself in the consultancy and research. Without this, it is not possible for a faculty to train the young minds to be the future citizen who will be leading the nation of our country. So with these few things, I would like to go through my session. The agenda for this session is consultancy and its needs, skills required for faculty consulting, types of faculty consulting, budgetary norms and distribution of consultancy funds, role of faculty consultants, factors usually looked out for by the clients hiring consultants, consultancy contract property, and finally, transfer of knowledge in the consultancy contract. So these are the overall picture of a consultancy. Why should a faculty do the consultancy? To do what are the skills that is required, what are the types of consulting that is available, how do I have a budgetary norms for this consultancy, and what is his role, okay, and what the clients looks for the consultants. Okay, finally, how do I transfer the knowledge? So, being a faculty, that too in a professional college like us, an engineering college, he would have done his BE, MTech, and of course the PhD. during these things, he would be specialized in one particular area. So once he has been specialized in that area, he has to take this particular specialization forward so that it will be helpful for the other agencies. Maybe a research lab, maybe an industry, or any government organization. Okay, his expertise should be a promising thing to these agencies. And this activity that is performed by the faculty is nothing but faculty consulting with some compensation. That means he is providing some services to the agencies such as industry, research lab, or government organization. Okay, so his expertise has been used, so he would be getting some compensation. So this is what faculty consulting is, and it also provides continuing professional development. So since he has already specialized in one area, he should not stop. He has to continue. So just sitting in the university or in an institution, he cannot pursue his consultancy. He has to collaborate with the outside world and share his expertise. He has to have contacts with the people, maybe in the industry or some research organizations. That is outside the university itself. So this consulting is defined as the professional activity related to the person's field or discipline where a fee for service or equivalent relationship with the client exists. So since his expertise is used by the other agencies, a fee for the service will be paid or some relationship with the client. Client here is nothing but they are the people who will be taking our service. So either a fee or some part. Suppose say for example, if I am testing a particular software developed by a company, okay, they may give that particular software to the college for the benefit of the students, since we have done some work for the particular industry. Okay, or maybe say for example other non-circuits branches, okay, if they have done some services, namely fabrication or material testing, etc., they may provide some concession while opting or while procuring the equipments. So this is nothing but the equivalent relationship with the client. Okay, other than the fee, he may get some equivalent relationship. So this is what the faculty consults. Okay, so for continuing professional development, it is a must for the faculty to involve in the consulting. Why it is required? It is required to foster the economic development. As we have seen, there are so many small business growing up. So Bangalore, as you already know, it is a hub for the startups. So these startups will be having their own idea. So the idea has to be converted into a product. It can be done when somebody works on it. But the problem with a startup or any small business is they cannot opt for the human resources due to budgetary problem. So when they provide some projects to the students or to the faculty, then we can work together as a team and compete in the global market. Okay, when we are competing in the global market, we are helping the economy to develop. So as per the survey, as per the report that is published by the Government of India, the skills that is required by the students for the 21st century is nothing but lifelong learning. This is published in the Economic Times, okay, by the Government of India. Plus, it is also the program outcome of our NBA, of the NBA whatever we are dealing with, isn't it? So lifelong learning is again the program outcome of a student. So this involves critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, collaboration, curiosity, initiative, persistence, adaptability, leadership, social and cultural ethics. Of course, this foundation literacy is already inculcated in the students. So once they come to the professional college, okay, as a faculty in an engineering college, it is necessary for me to inculcate all these skills into the students. To inculcate these things to the students, first of all, we as a faculty should adapt to these things. As you can see, the curriculum of the VTU or any curriculum, recent curriculum as per prescribed by AICTE, so many add-ons are there. Like we have design thinking lab, okay, then self-study, experiential learning. So all these things we have that AICTE has had it. So 20 years back when we were studying, these things were not there. That means the generation now requires these things for building a better nation. So we have to inculcate the students these activities. As a faculty, if I am not involving in any research activities or the consultancy activities, I cannot have these qualities on me. First of all, I should have some collaboration. I should have contacts with the outside world, okay, wherein I can pitch in the students into those collaboration and form my own team so that they can work with the particular company or whatever industry or any academic institutions. Okay, so consulting need not be only industry. It can be for the institution also. If you are an expert in one particular subject, okay, you can give an expert advice to some other colleges, or you can mentor the colleges which don't have that expertise. For example, if we are going to the MBA, okay, so MBA already many colleges have already worked on it. So if you want any consultant from the college which has already have got it, you can take those faculties as an MBA consultant from the academics. Okay, so a faculty consulting need not be pertaining to only industry or the research. It can be for the academic institutions also. Okay, so by exposing or making the visibility of the expertise whatever we are having, we can inculcate in the students whatever that is required for the 21st century. Next is, by taking up the consultancy, we can enhance the ability to bring to the classroom the current and the relevant expressions among others. Okay, so as I told you, we have something called experiential learning, wherein the student have to apply. If a faculty is not involved with the outside world for any collaboration, or is not aware of the outside world, what are the things that is happening, he will not be able to give the students a particular problem to solve. Okay, he may give some problem, okay, whatever comes to his mind or whatever he has read in the book. But actual thing what is happening in the industry, what is going on, what the industry requires, if he is not aware, the students will lose the interest in that faculty and will not like to work with that particular faculty. Okay, so only when the faculty is involved in R&D and consultancy, okay, he can engage the students. Okay, he can engage and empower the students in hands-on learning. See, as to coming to this, if I want, I would like to share my thoughts on this. So, as a professor, what we do is at RV College of Engineering. So, we approach to the company, or the company approaches us. What is the means of approaching is your track record. The track record of a faculty is very important. That is the publications. So, through your publications, okay, the company may approach if they are interested in whatever you have published. Okay, and they may offer you the consultancy to, okay, convert that whatever thoughts are there in the paper to the product. Okay, or they may know you and they may give some projects to you. Okay, taking into consideration your expertise. Okay, so when you get a project as a professor, what we do is we involve the juniors, maybe an associate or the assistant professor, along with the students. So we have a team, okay, professor, associate and assistant along with the students. All this team will work for a particular project along with the client. So the client who has given the project will also have an expertise in what is going on. He should know what the problem is, how, then the method, okay, method how to solve. But to solving for him, the time may not be there or the manpower may not be there for him. Okay, but he can mentor, okay, you go in this direction, okay, what is the approach, what are the software you require. So he may mentor the particular thing. So when they mentor this along with the student and the faculty, so the gain will be for all, okay, faculty will get benefited, the student also will get benefited, okay. So by this, it increases the retention in the STEM, okay, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematical disciplines and other fields. That means what? Once you are involved in this consultancy, you can always do a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary projects with others and thus retaining the STEM. Okay, nowadays when the survey, you know, when the survey says that the STEM, that is science and technology, okay, the PhDs in this technology are very less when compared to the management. Okay, so we have to retain it. Okay, in order to retain, this is a very good approach for the faculty to involve in R&D and consultancy. This also provides career preparation and also promotes interest in graduate education. Okay, and develops critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, self-confidence and intellectual independence by promoting an innovation-oriented culture. So together, we form a team and discuss the problems. Definitely, the faculty will be benefited. The student will leave the college after pursuing his engineering degree, he will leave. But the faculty will know what type of the problem that was addressed with the particular company. And that can be taken further, okay, either with the same company or with a different company in which they are doing the same type of the work, provided the confidentiality or the intellectual property, we have to keep it. Okay, so this is one advantage and the need. And as I told you, what are the benefits the faculty will get? So the faculty benefits are, it invigorates intellect and increases enthusiasm. Okay, some problem if you solve with the others, okay, instead of having the own group and solving the problem to ourselves. Okay, if we collaborate with others, definitely it increases the enthusiasm. It enhances the teaching effectiveness and job satisfaction. So in the classroom teaching, so maybe we will be teaching very well, okay, whatever is pertaining to the curriculum. But the real-time examples when we give, when we showcase the examples to the students, case studies, okay, the way they will observe the things will be different. Okay, and for them also, sitting in the class, just listening to the lecture, okay, will be a hectic job for the students. Instead of that, if a case study or demonstration is shown, or you involve the particular student in the project, in the research, whatever you have taken, definitely the effectiveness of the teaching also increases and the student satisfaction will be always there. Then once the faculty knows what are the things that is going on outside with the industry, it will help the institution, okay, with the promotion of advancements in the research program. Okay, we can have a research program in the institution. As you already know, government is, okay, aiming the institution to be universities. Now once we reach the status of university or autonomous, whatever it is, the research program is a must, isn't it? Otherwise, to get the grants and to be self-sustained, it will be difficult for the institution. Once this research program or the research things are inculcated among the faculty, then there are chances of increasing access to the grant funding. Suppose if you want to apply for maybe for DST or DRDO, some work you should have been done. Okay, some prototype should be there. Okay, then only they will fund us. Since we are the private, getting the funds is very difficult. So because the private institutions, okay, are taken into granted for sanctioning the funds. Okay, so we have to either collaborate with industry and start writing the proposals so that we get the grant. Encourage faculty to remain in the current field. So teaching field or in whatever area he is well versed. Okay, he will be encouraged by taking up the consultancy work. He will be encouraged to be in this particular field. It promotes greater engagement with students, colleagues, and community. Okay, so now in this pandemic situation, we are going for online, isn't it? But this was already in view in 2014. From 2014 itself at RVC. Companies would have given us the project. Traveling in Bangalore was very difficult. So we used to never go to the company, visit the company and discuss the problem. Through online mode only we used to do. It is not that we have got the consultancy work from only Bangalore, but it is from abroad also. So remotely we work. So this online concept, so online virtual discussion and all, we were taking from 2014 itself. Okay, so greater engagement with students. Maybe on Sundays we used to discuss internally and in the weekdays. So since if a company has given a project to us, we have to show the review. And this review will be usually weekly or once in 15 days. So once in 15 days we used to have online, and now also it is going on, wherein the students, whatever the developments or whatever they have explored, used to showcase this to the company and get the feedback. So this we were into from 2014. And this concept, why did we evolve? What motivated me to take up the consultancy, I would like to share. In 2013, when I was a PG Dean, we had an MBA for our MTech programs. The committee which visited our program, that is MTech CSE and MTech CNE, okay, the people, the experts, they laughed at us because we didn't have any consultancy project being in Bangalore. Okay, so that was like very bad feeling for us, okay, being the topmost college and we have no funding from any industry nor the research. Okay, and to be frank, we didn't get any NBA thing from the 2013 for PGCSE or not for PGCSE. Okay, this thing, okay, we took it positively and started looking for the consultancy work. Okay, how did we approach? Okay, that I will be taking on after the next slide. Okay, so next is, after the faculty benefits, next is the institution benefits. The institution, definitely it gets benefited. Okay, because it enhances intellectual viability of the institution and it attracts talented faculties and also builds research program. So it will be continuing. We cannot stop at the undergraduate program. We have to grow. The continuing education is important. We have to have our MTech program, we have to have our PhD program. Like this, we have to continue. The growth should be there. Okay? So definitely when these programs are continuing, the institution will get benefit. It attracts engaged students and community interest. The student who opts for MTech definitely will look into the credentials of the college. Okay? A student who is coming for MTech will be interested to pursue the PhD. Then he will see the calibration of the faculty member, what research they are working, isn't it? In case if you have this research and consultancy, definitely you can attract the students. And the funding, whatever we get from the consultancy or the research, we can get new equipments and facilities for the students to work. And also we can have our own way of curriculum in collaboration with the industry. Okay, since we are close to the industry, we can have the state-of-art syllabus, state-of-art subjects for our students. It also promotes engagement with national trends in higher education and new research directions. So once the institution is visible to the outside world, definitely the people from abroad also feel like getting admitted to the college because of the research and consultancy collaboration. So this is not the only benefit. As you can see here, whenever we take up the consultancy, we see that the faculty and the student will publish. Okay, by taking the permission from the client, we usually publish whatever the project we have done. Okay, and we also add the industry people names. By this joint collaboration, joint publication, which the statutory bodies of AICTE requires, we will be meeting. And we can also have patents. The patents will be there, the publications will be more, the student publications or the faculty publication will be very impressive because it is the actual work that we have done for a company. Then we can present it in a conference, okay, and make more visibility. Again, I would like to share my experience. Okay, one of the projects which we had got from a company X, we had presented the paper at San Francisco. So there, the industry people who had come there for the conference, they were interested and they offered one more project. So while coming back to India, okay, we had one more consultancy project in hand. Okay, like this, we can be more visible to the outside world. Next, why should an industry give consultancy to a faculty? Even industries are benefited from faculty consultancy. There are no taxes, there are no human resource issues, and the contract work is scalable. Suppose if they feel the faculty is not doing that particular work properly, they can terminate. Easily they can terminate. Okay, and it is an independent advice. Okay, it is between the faculty and the industry. Nowhere the workers in the company will come into picture. Okay, it is an industry, independent advice. And there are diversity of ideas from other experiences. Flexible for project specific work. Flexibility will be there. So as and then if they like, they can continue the project or they can terminate. Okay, or they can change the ways. And they do not have to hire the people. Suppose if they have an idea and they want to just check it out, whether the idea works or not, they can experiment with faculty consultant. They can give us, okay, and we can see how that idea works. Or if we have an idea, we can showcase to the company and see whether they are interested, so that we can work along with them. Okay, so like this, industry gets benefited from faculty consulting. Next, what are the skills required for taking up the consultancy? Now, you are a faculty, just now you have joined with a PhD or an MTech. Okay, now you have to take up some consultancy work. You are interested. First, what should I do? First, I should identify my interest, my expertise and passion in align with the market. Isn't it? Market is the main thing. What the market wants. Okay, what is my expertise? Okay, how can I align this with the market? Just like how I convey this in an interview. Pick a passion you are knowledgeable about. Select a passion with which you are actively involved. Select something that genuinely excites you. Your passion can be almost anything, whatever you are. Whether you are interested in material fabrication or whether you are interested in the quality measure, quality assurance, whatever it is. What the market is, first check it out. Okay. Next is identify and understand the project taken by the UG or PG students in the above areas. Now I know this is my area of expertise. Since I am a faculty, maybe 1 or 2 years experience, okay, dig out the projects, what the student have done. There are so many things that are there in a particular curriculum, isn't it? You have experiential learning, you have student projects, you have internship project, and also rural awareness experience. Like AICTE has made mandatory the 100 points, wherein the students will go to the rural area, understand what the problem is. Or you also have something called design thinking, wherein the student, in our college at least, we made the students go to the rural area and proceed with the design thinking lab with the 5 phases, that is empathize, define, ideate, prototype and test. Okay? So maybe in the rural area there is a problem with agriculture. What are those problems? Okay? So is it aligning with your expertise? Just check it out by going through the projects what students have already done. So after identifying the projects, identify the industry working in your field, especially the startup. Why I am aiming for startup is, they have an idea, they have to grow, but the main concern is the budget, isn't it? So they prefer working with faculty, okay, and students to see whether whatever the POC we generate and give them can be converted to a proper product. Okay, so they have an idea, they do the hard work, launch and grow. In this entire process, you can involve, okay, or that the faculty can involve along with the students. As you can see the statistics here, okay, the startups, even though it is getting slowed down here, it is, okay, from 2016 to 2019 statistics I have, but still, okay, in India, that is, you can see in the Delhi it is 142. When I come to Bangalore, the engineering college or the university, you can see, okay, Bangalore it is in the black and Delhi, 150 are there in Bangalore. And the graduates are 95,000 when compared to the other states, that is Delhi, which we are seeing. That means what? Bangalore has many universities, many students are there, many startups are there, IT is there, industries are there, then why not take up the consultancy work? Why not help the startups or the companies for the global market, to compete the industry for the global market? Okay, so once you know what is your area and once you study in depth, okay, what the student projects are related to your area, find out which industries are working, especially the startups, then collaborate with them. How do you collaborate? Okay, maybe your interest is in networking. Collaborate with the industries who are having network specialization. Call them. Since you are an autonomous or it need not be, you have the curriculum. Okay, request the industry people to take some part of the curriculum. And it is a mandatory for the industry to collaborate with the academy. That is mandatory for those people also. As a CSR activity, industry should collaborate with the academics. And they have to nurture the faculty and the students. It is a must for them as a CSR activity. Okay? So you find out the industries and call them for your curriculum teaching. Some part you give. When they come, discuss with them what are the areas they are working. Okay? And if the time permits, you visit to that industry, find out what are all the problems that your student has done along with you, present it to them. Okay, these are the things I can do. So they get an idea that student and faculty are working in this particular field and they may be interested in giving some projects to you. That is what we did. Okay? Then once you understand the problem, you propose the solutions to the problem. This is a very important stage. Okay? Collaboration is very important. Okay? The way you speak with the industry personnel, the way you understand the problems that are there, okay? That is important. Once you understand, by giving the presentation, whatever you have done in your department, you just go and present. Okay? Then they will suggest you, these are the problems. Okay? What you can do is, you can propose a solution to their problems with reference to your expertise, whatever you are having. If you don't have that expertise, it is an engineering college, we have n number of faculty, and all the branches are there in one thing, isn't it? We have all civil, we have mechanical, all the branches are there. So the problem can be solved by any other department if it is an interdisciplinary, if they require. Or if they require the expertise which is not there in you, you can take the help from the other faculty. That is what the advantage we have as an institution. So we know what the industry problem is, provide the solution. Okay, this is the problem. This problem can be proposed by the industry or you can propose the problem. Clearly you define the problem, validate it with qualitative or quantitative data and describe the proposed solution. Okay, why this solution was preferred by you to solve the problem. And if the solution is there, okay, you naturally will get the result and this result should be evaluated by using certain metrics. So this is the proposal that we have to give it to the industry. It is not like the proposal what we give it to BST, isn't it? This is BST requires extensive literature survey, then gap, all those things. But that is not required by the industry. This is the problem that you have. This is the solution I have found. And this solution result, I will evaluate using this method. That's it. Okay? Very simple proposal. Okay? But one thing is you have to create confidence with those industry people. Okay? So this is about the skills that is required for taking up the consultancy. Okay? So any questions you can pose it in the chat. Next, what are the types of consulting a faculty can take? Category, it can be of any of these three types. One is, it can be an expert advice and R&D consultancy. Since I belong to computer science department, R&D consultancy is one, like you contribute something to the open source. Okay, contribute something to the open source which a company has developed. Okay, that is nothing but R&D. Okay, they have some distributed platform. Okay, something you have found out how the algorithms, say machine learning algorithms work on this particular platform, whatever they have developed. Okay, and you are creating a GitHub repository there. This is nothing but an expert advice and R&D consultancy. You are giving an advice to the company. Okay, so this way if I do, okay, this is nothing but a contribution where many people can use your platform. Okay, so this is one expert, this is one type of category. Next one is testing consultancy. It involves testing of a product, maybe a software testing or maybe water quality testing or material testing, anything. So it involves testing of a sample, component or a product against some standard. Okay? So we had some project, interdisciplinary project with civil department that was given by Panchayat Raj to know the, to measure the quality of the water in the borewells at Chikbala. Okay, so we require, that is nothing but testing, water quality. We had a testing equipment here in the civil department which they helped us. Okay, similarly software. So we had got one project from DRDO. Okay, this is nothing but the software testing. They had developed for some company a software. So we had to test it, the unit, integration, all those things. Okay, so based upon the expertise, faculty expertise that are available at the university or the institute. This is nothing but testing consultancy. The last one is service consultancy. Service consultancy is to use the university's computational facilities or anything, any infrastructure. It will not be computer only. It can be any infrastructure that is there by the institution. Maybe the software, hardware, technical, physical infrastructure by the client. See, for example, in any computer science department, in evening or night times, all the computation power will not be used. We have high performance computing lab. We have cards, okay, NVIDIA cards. This can be given as a service to others, wherein they can test their projects, they can compute their programming, etc. Okay, so this, for example, use of software or hardware by the outside student or researchers, because the colleges may not have these facilities, NVIDIA card, Pascal card, okay, those facilities may not be available in the college, in their college. So they can use your college infrastructure for their work. Okay. So these are the three types of consultancy the faculty can get involved. Then how do the budgetary norms and distribution of the consultancy fund? This I have taken it from the Stanford University. Okay. First thing is category 1. Category 1 is nothing but expert advice and R&D consultancy. So we get the total money from the client. Okay. The service tax, CL. The contracted amount is D is equal to G minus this both you subtract. So university share is 30%. So it depends upon your institution, what share the university takes, maybe 40%, maybe 50%. But I am taking the Stanford University as an example, wherein it takes 30% for R&D consultants. Okay. Next in category 2, wherein it is a services. Usually this is very difficult to get. R&D consultancy is very difficult to get. But this testing consultancy we can get it. Okay. Testing of simple component or some thing they want, some add-on they want to their software, some prototype they want to build and test, whether it can be converted into the product. Okay. So this testing consultancy we can get more. Okay. So this testing consultancy, the budget will be like this. Okay. Suppose if I want to test, okay, material testing, something I am doing. Okay. The wages will differ. It is 0.3 of the, that is 30% of the total. Otherwise it is 70% of the total. How this differs is, in case of project requiring testing result or data, without any interpretation, the faculty what he will do, I want the water to be tested, he will test and he will give the result. Okay. In that case, without any interpretation, the university will take 70% of the total cost. Suppose if the faculty has to interpret the result, okay, why this quality is there, why this particular salt is more, less, what okay, which area it belongs, some interpretation if he is providing, then the faculty gets a more amount, that is 30% only the university will be taking. Okay. So remaining amount, that is R is equal to T minus U, and with the total expenditure. Total expenditure is for your consultancies, for your thing. You require so many consumables, travel, isn't it? All those stationary items, all this expenditure. When I remove this, remaining amount will be distributed to the people who are involved in the consultancy work, not others. Only the people who are involved in the consultancy work, this D will be distributed. Because university has already taken the share, so this is the balance amount of the distribution. Okay, so you can get a huge sum of money when you do some, when you take up some consultancy work. That is there. Similarly, for category 3, the consultant will not get any amount because he will be using the infrastructure. Okay, there is like institution itself will be a consultant. Okay, so because he is using the facilities with the college and nowhere any faculty is involved, and it is up to the university to give, whether maybe because they are utilizing the lab facility, it is up to the institution to give the amount to the lab instructors or whoever it is. So this is total amount is G, service tax, contracted amount, expenditure whatever it is, and university will be having the total minus the expenditure. That means what university is also earning. Nowadays, you have seen in this situation, the admission is also very difficult. University should also be sustainable. Institution should be sustainable. For that, consultancy is the one way which we can help our management or the university. Okay. Next, what is the role of the faculty consultants? What is his role? Once he take up the project or a service, or he is an expert advisor for R&D, what is his role? First role is provide an expert professional service to his or her, isn't it? So I have taken it, I have to provide an expert professional service. And please follow the problem solving approach. It is nothing that once I know the problem, I have to start working on the problem without asking for consultancy with the institution, with the industry. That means I should not ask the industry to pay for whatever I am working. I have to work parallelly. Okay, once I reach some stage, if I feel I am doing a better job, Okay, then only it is better for starting people. The people who are starting the consultancy, please, if you look into it, you work with the industry without taking the benefit for few days and see the way, the approach of problem solving with them. Okay? You identify that this is what it is. Identify the problem, explore the information, select the best idea, build, test the idea and evaluate the result. All these things you do it without taking any fees from the industry if you are starting. Okay? Then you see, okay, how you can earn the amount from the industry, how they approach you and how they feel about the product you have delivered. So finally, slowly you have to go. Okay? So this will help the clients to, okay, identify, investigate problem with strategy, policy, organization and procedural and methods. Okay? So this is the role, okay, expert service, and after this once is doing, next thing is each and every step we have to show the progress to the people because they are going to review it. Maybe when I am doing at the last, if I show, especially in the software development, that may, whatever I have developed may not be compatible with the platform what they are using. So it is better to formulate the recommendations for the appropriate investigation and analysis, okay, and approach them, okay, whether whatever I have proceeding is in the right direction. This is the future course of action. Present it to them. Okay, they will understand, okay, the faculty are doing, and if we are going in the wrong direction, that means it is not compatible. Definitely, in the way itself, they will advise us to select the right direction because ultimately they have to use this. They have to use this. So interaction with the with the client is very important. Okay. So provide assistance where required by the client to implement the recommendations. Okay. Provide this. So in carrying out his or her role, the consultant should exercise independence of thought and action, deal with the client's problem in the right perspective, give well-balanced advice, and continuously strive to improve her professional skills. Okay, we have to work hard to improve our professional skills because each day technology is changing. If we are not undertaking any of the research and consultancy, it is very difficult for the faculty or an institution to survive. Okay, so it is a must. So maintain high quality of service. Okay. How the high quality of service? Nobody is born with all the things, like all the knowledge of technicality, isn't it? So slowly we have to grow. Okay, maybe 2 or 3 companies we may approach. It may not work for us. It's okay. Okay, when we put effort, when definitely out of 5, 1 at least. Okay. First thing is you have to represent the work, whatever you are expertise in, by taking the help of your faculty and the students. You have to approach. Once that is over with 2-3 companies, the companies will approach you. Okay, looking at your track record. The track record of a faculty. The faculty will be measured by his publication. This is my suggestions, okay? It will be measured by his publications, by his research. Okay? So this is the role of the faculty. Now, what are the factors usually looked out for the clients hiring the consultants? There are so many faculties here, isn't it? In any college, any department, we have so many faculties. Why they should approach you? Okay? They will approach you only if you provide high quality of service, and this is very important, moral character, okay, economy and efficiency, and you are competing with among qualified consultants. There are so many, you are more competitive, and your track records are good, and you are transparent, like whatever the work you do, you communicate with them with good communication and interpersonal skills. Okay, this is all my experience I am sharing with you. So the clients, they look for this factor, high quality of service, moral character is very important. Okay, interpersonal skills. Okay, so interpersonal skills, as I told you, don't wait till the end. So just communicate with them. This is what we have done. Okay, very often please schedule the meetings. Okay, as I told you, this online meetings we are scheduling from 2014 itself. Okay, so evening we meet faculty, even our faculty and students. We exchange the ideas. What is the progress? Everything we do it. Okay, so this is what the clients. And once internal meeting happens, then we approach the industry and again discuss the progress whatever we have done. And they will look into the progress and they will direct us for the proper direction, because they are the one who will be finally doing with the product, taking the product further. In order to do all these things, there should be a contract. Okay, some contract should be there between the industry and the anything, industry or academic or the faculty. Okay, institution. So what this contract is, contracts for consulting services usually state that all the documents prepared by the consultant, okay, whatever the document is prepared, what document I'll prepare the scope, okay, this is what I'm going to do. My scope is limited to so and so. Otherwise what will happen, it is like a ocean. Okay, if I say image processing, it is a ocean. I have to define the scope. Okay, I'll be taking care of this type of the image captured at the daytime. I'll be processing it. Okay, and my thing is, I will not be taking care of camera fog. Okay, all these things I have to give it in the scope. That is in the contract. This is what I can do. Okay, this document shall become and remain the property of the client. Once the scope, what you are going to do, okay, and how the industry is satisfied with the scope of the project. Okay, once this is fine, okay, it will remain the property of the client. The consultant also can retain a copy of such documents and software. He can also retain the document. So any restrictions on the future use of these documents and software by either the client or the consultants are specified in the contract. Okay. Once you have developed the software, whether the faculty consultant can use the software whatever he has developed, or whether he can publish. See, since the publication is very important in our institutions, in any institution, because the ranking of NIRF, okay, all this, the publication matters. Okay, so while signing the contract, you have to be clear, okay, whatever I am doing will be published along with you. Okay, along with you, taking the industry people also into consideration and the students. But once I have my paper, okay, written, I will submit it to the industry and take the consent, because some IP will be there. Okay, so I should not leak this particular IP. So I have to take the consent of this the industry, okay, wherever I have got the project, and then publish. So this is how the contract property is. Finally, I have to transfer the knowledge. Once I do all these things, I have to, because I will be contacting only one person from the industry. There is no team. I will be contacting one person and I will be developing one package. Okay, maybe the package is a payroll package I am developing. But the payroll package will be used by other people. Many of the people will be using. So I have to transfer this knowledge to those people, isn't it? So that also should be specified. Okay, this software, whatever I have developed, the maintenance period will be one year. So during this maintenance year, I will be giving the maintenance services. Okay, maybe 1 year or 3 months, whatever it is, and giving and training your the client people. Okay, training your employees to use this package. So after specified time, 6 months or 1 year, I am nowhere involved with the software, whatever I have given. If you want that particular software, again, if I have to involve, again, for that some fee has to be paid. So it should be clear, because it should not so happen that I deliver a software, after for 2-3 years some bug has happened, again they should not call us. So that particular contract should be very clear in the consultancy contract. Okay. So now, how do I transfer the knowledge? Okay, there are 3 methods. One is train, transfer the knowledge, train the client staff to master the service and eventually replicate or perform them independently. Okay, they can perform independently. There are 3 methods. One is on this job training. That is, once I develop this, I go with my team Okay, train the particular staff. That is one thing. And the other one is standalone training. Standalone training is I give the README file. Okay, README, okay, because I'm from computer science, I'm just talking about this. README, wherein I give, that is the documentation, wherein I will ask, okay, this is the procedure. What are the software that is required? Okay, how do I install it? Then what are the other components that is required? Everything will be written in detail and will be giving it out to the in industry. And there is one more thing that is called winning agreement. Winning agreement means it is basically when you get the consultancy work from abroad. Okay, you are receiving some amount from the industry. So this type of agreement usually will be taken care by the abroad industries. Okay, you are receiving some amount. I in turn have to give something to the industry. So in turn, what I can give? I can have publication. That is a need. Okay, as I told you, okay, we have contributed to the open source. So their agreement is we have to publish and we have to have some patents. Patent is very difficult. So publishing takes place automatically. Okay, so this is what winning agreement. I do something, I do the project, they give me the amount, and that amount should be utilized for publishing. That is called winning one type of agreement. Okay, there may be other things also. As I told you, usually this will be taken in abroad. As I am from the computer science, I know about the related terms in computer only. That is publication and the software. Okay, and contribution to the open source. Okay, I have to give an access. I have to create a GitHub repository. Okay, give all the things whatever I have developed, so that anybody can push and pull from that particular GitHub and do the things. So these are all the overall process of taking up the consultancy. So finally, this is the transfer of knowledge in the consultancy contract. And finally, I would like to end my session stating the quote of Mahatma Gandhi: "Satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the attainment. Full effort is full victory." So I believe in this, wherein we have to have full effort. We have to put full effort, and that effort will be fully victory, and not in the attainment. Thank you for the opportunity again. Any questions?
And there is one question, madam, given in the chat. I read out the question.
Any questions?
Yeah, madam.
Yeah, madam, there is one question in the chat.
I'll
I'll
read
read
it
it out.
For a
For a software application projects, how can we get the consultancy when the faculty is from computer applications background?
Didn't get it. From the software?
For
For software application projects, how can we get the consultancy when the faculty is from computer applications background?
So this is
This is from MCA.
See, whenever we are fetching the project from the industry, they are not concerned whether I belong to computer science or MCA or electronics, okay, or electrical. Any faculty who can take up, who have the initiative of taking up the project and completing it, and who have the expertise, they will give. Okay, so it is not that MCA, because it is an application, okay, they won't give, nothing like that. See, it is almost the same, isn't it? When I see computer science syllabus and MCA syllabus, they are also reading, provided some system side compiler design they may not have. They are working on the application side. If I see that, no, they are more benefited to get the projects if they are capable.
So there is
There is another question, madam.
While
sharing the idea or concept with the industry people, is it necessary to share only the basic idea or complete idea? In case if we share complete information, is there any chance of taking up the idea, converting it into the product by them without our help?
Yes, it is, we are not supposed to share the detailed idea. That's what I showed you. No? Just we have to propose, okay, in an abstract way. That's what I told, no? The difference between the proposal writing for the research and the consultancy business. In research, when we are submitting to the government organization, we have to write it in detail. But here it is not so. We are not writing it in detail, just an abstract we are writing. Because they may take, that is there. So we should be very careful. Only the abstract, and we have to present, and we have to start working with them. Okay, after some stage, then we have to go for contract. Okay, this is my suggestion. Okay, after some stage, then we have to go for contract, because we will be knowing what type of work they will be expecting, what is the scope, only to some level if we go. Okay, before only without any scope and all, if we enter into the contract, it will be difficult. Okay, some days we have to work with them.
Madam, can you switch on your video, madam?
So,
Any questions from the participants?
You
You can unmute your mic
and
and then ask questions.
Or
Or even if you
type
type it in the chat box also, I can read the question to madam.
So somehow camera is not finding.
Okay.
Okay, madam.
It's not finding the camera. Sorry, camera. And in
Madam,
Madam, what is your guidance for a fresh consultant?
Like
the faculty were just about to.
so for the fresh consultant, that whatever I told, identify the area of expertise, go through the projects that has been developed by the students, then identify the internship where the students have done, or the industry which is the job, collaborate with them, call them for your institution, either to teach, okay, or some workshop, call them, then exchange the ideas, find out what problems they are facing, and start working with them without any income from them. First few days you have to work initially. Then after that, once you get familiarized with that particular company and particular team, then you can propose. This is my approach.
Thank you, madam.
Any
questions from the participants? Anybody wants to ask, you can unmute the mic
and
then ask the question. Which is there is no question.
Madam,
It was a wonderful talk wherein you
touched
touched all the important aspects that a consultant need to have.
And
You told about the necessity of the faculty, role of the faculty, and how consultancy can help in economic development,
and
how faculty have to be associated with industry and research center,
and
how they have to approach
the
the industry and grouping of faculty and various categories of the faculty and the students, and how it is going to help multi-dimensional, developing multi-dimensional skills in faculty like critical thinking, innovative thinking, teamwork, enhancing teaching, satisfaction in job as well as student satisfaction, and greater enhancement of student and faculty. And you also told nicely about the institution benefits, industry benefits, and skills required by the faculty to go for a consultancy, and also the categories of faculty consultancy, and what are these categories and how the revenue sharing is done, particularly in testing consultancy, and budgetary norms and distribution of consultancy funds, and the role of consultant, the faculty consultant, and faculty factors required for a good consultancy, and about consultancy contract property, and the transfer of knowledge in consultancy contract. I think there are a lot of information that you have given us today. We will have to go through it and understand, and to have more such talks with Madam, so that we can become good consultant in future. On behalf of management, principal and faculty of BIT, I wholeheartedly thank you, Madam, for a wonderful talk that you have given today about faculty consultancy.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you very much, Madam. I will now ask our principal, Dr. M.U. Ashwath, to give his comments.
Professor Nagraj, thank you very much. I'm really impressed about the whole presentation. In fact, it was like a presentation for all the beginners. It was very lucid and simple and clearly explained all the steps. And in fact, many of the faculty members who have not started consultancy in any form, they will have definitely got idea about how it can work. And Madam has explained clearly how it should be done, what is the role of the department, what is the sharing of revenues, and how to expect the consultancy fees, when you are to ask the fee, and all those things completely explained by Professor. And some of the members were asking how to get the project, how to get the proposal, so writing the proposals and all those things. So basically, according to my experience, the institution should support. So now most of the institutions, whether like it or not, they have to support consultancy and research work from the faculty, and suitably accommodate them as far as the workload is concerned, and also revenue sharing is concerned, because it is required by all the accreditation bodies. So when we were doing, most of the faculty were doing the consultancy outside the ambit of the brand of the institution. Privately they were doing. But now, since it is a mandatory requirement for most of the organizations, the institution will provide all the infrastructure required, and the faculty can use their intellectual property to develop the consultancy. And the basic simple thing is, first we should know what is our strength. We should develop our capabilities and competencies in any one or two particular areas, and then automatically everything will follow. So most important and essential thing is, we should have expertise in one or two areas, comfortable with handling the industry problems, or as Madam mentioned, the other organizations, educational organizations, issues and problems. Then automatically everything will follow. So my suggestion to all the freshers here is, just get the strengths that you have and do some work there and publish it. And not only in journals, kind of a thing, in the circles you publish what is your capabilities and what you are doing and all those things, and automatically all other things will follow. That is my strong belief. So for giving a very good foundation through this talk, I thank Professor, and maybe all the faculty can be in touch with Madam for all the assistance, academic assistance in this direction, because she has experience, lot of experience, and it is also required for the institutions, many of the things. So the days will not be too far. The faculties will be recognized only by their additional capabilities, because teaching is a must everywhere. Wherever you go, you need to have a teaching capabilities. So in addition to that, like the companies while selecting then the campus recruitment, the students, they will have a degree, so that is a must. So they will look for what other skills the student has got for shortlisting and for selecting them for the organization. Similarly, in the days to come, definitely, the faculties will also be recognized and selected and appreciated only with their additional capabilities other than teaching. So teaching is one standard requirement. Other than that, what a faculty member has got. So to recruit the faculty and also to retain the faculty and to support the faculty and for the growth of the faculty, I think days are not too far where the institutions will give importance for the additional capabilities in consultancy and research works. So with this, I think the importance maybe all the participants will understand and they will start practicing the skills required for the consultancy. Thank you, madam, for an excellent interaction and presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity given. I also thank Nagaraj sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much
for
for
your wonderful
wonderful talk, madam.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, participants,
I have sent the feedback for
session 1 and
session 1 and session 2.
and also
I'll be sending the registration for the 26th talk.
With this,
I thank
our
our management
and
our principal, Dr. M.U. Ashwath, and also the HODs of various departments and faculty members of BIT, and all those who have registered and patiently listened all this session throughout the session
without any disturbance.
You are highly disciplined. Thank you very much for all the participants.
So
tomorrow we will be meeting at 2 o'clock with the two speakers. One is Chandra Mohan Upadhyay, is talking about consultancy opportunity in semiconductor industry. Another one is Umar Reddy, who is talking about win-win industry institution linkage. Chandra Mohan Upadhyay is a co-founder and consultant Banashri Renewable Energy Systems Private Limited. Umar Reddy is Managing Director, Mrs. iTech Magnetics and Electronics Private Limited. So we'll have two sessions tomorrow. One is starting at 2 and another one is at 3:30. So thank you very much for all. Have a nice day. We will meet tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Nagaraj.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
So I will be sending the registration link also. Please remain for a few minutes.
Remain
In the line for a few minutes. I will send the link for registration. Sir? Huh? Umapati. Okay, sorry, sir. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರು ಬನ್ನಿ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಆಯ್ತು. ಏನೋ ಬನ್ನಿ. ಹೌದು. ಓಕೆ. This is the link for 26th November 2020.
you.